All right, guys, we've got some stuff from the past week. Take a look at this, the highest rated games of week 1, and what a draw ABC is. The top 4 highest rated games were all ABC games. Of course, Ohio State, Notre Dame, the 2 storied programs, the only top 5 matchup. It gets over 10 million total views. The Sunday night game, Florida State LSU, gets 7.5 million. Also ABC. Oregon, Georgia gets around 6 million. I'm sure by the fourth quarter it probably had maybe 1 million at that point, considering it was such a blowout. And then Colorado State, Michigan, also on ABC. Michigan's opening game, this was the noon game. It gets just under 4 million. So ABC completely controlling week 1 of college football in terms of the overall ratings. And I believe there was no big noon game, or like no marketed big noon game week 1. Of course, that starts this week with Texas and Alabama being the big noon game. But I just thought this was interesting. And then, of course, you had Utah and Florida having to compete against the Notre Dame Ohio State game. That was on ESPN, and that actually got outrated by the Thursday night game, Pittsburgh and West Virginia, which did very well on Thursday night on ESPN. And then the Cincinnati, Arkansas, which was the 3:30 ESPN game, is there as well. So just interesting ratings there for the college football. Not surprised at all that Notre Dame and Ohio State was number 1. We've got this honest question. Why is the Alabama-Texas game getting so hyped up when most people know it'll likely end in a blowout? Guys, as a self-proclaimed college football expert, I don't think many people are hyping up this game at all. You got to remember, this is a game that opened Bama minus 17, I believe. Immediately, it gets bet up to Bama minus 20. I think it's settled on Bama minus 20 and a half right now, the overall line. And in terms of like overall hype, it is only Wednesday. And I know this person says ESPN GameDay and Big Noon are both going to be there, so it's getting hype. I don't hear many people talking about this game or giving Texas a realistic chance. And I honestly find that a little surprising, considering this is Alabama's first non-conference away game since God knows when. I don't even know when Alabama's last non-conference away game is. Of course, they always played the neutral site games, which are just horrible. How about the Monday night game? Clemson, Georgia Tech. Guys, I tweeted about it. The upper deck, nobody there. The upper deck was closed of the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, or whatever it's called. The thing with the, spear in the middle, Atlanta Falcons Stadium. Why are we playing college football games at these neutral sites? It's horrible for the sport. It looks so bad. You have Monday night to yourself. And then, of course, we compound how bad the stadium looks with a horrible product. And Clemson and Georgia Tech just did not play a good football game. It was not competitive. The offense was terrible in the first half. And that is not how we're going to grow our sport, by holding these neutral site games when we're supposed to have the spotlight. It's a neutral site game. The upper deck is tarped off. There's no energy. And Clemson is 24-point favorites. Folks, what are we doing? What are we doing? And then this person comes out and says, the Alabama-Texas game is getting hyped up. I'm not seeing it getting hyped up anywhere. It is early. It's only Wednesday. They're probably going to try and force it. But it's also important to note, this game is on Fox. So most people watch ESPN and things like that. And ESPN really doesn't have a big incentive to hype this game up, considering ABC is not carrying it. That is just my opinion in terms of that. I thought this was really funny. You gotta, especially what happened. It's the basketball versus football version of North Carolina versus Appalachian State, and almost the same amount of points get scored. Actually, more points get scored in the football version than the looking at this now. You had Appalachian State score 40 points in the fourth quarter, and North Carolina, I think, scored 22 points. So the fourth quarter score was 40-22. Now, I don't know how that's possible, but that is like a lot of points got scored at the way end. Very, very, very funny thing there. This is Dan Mullen's college football playoff predictions after week 1, and he's got 2 SEC teams against 2 Big Ten teams. I'm guessing he's having Michigan going undefeated until they face Ohio State, then they lose to Ohio State, so they'd be a 1-loss, something like that. This is not going to happen. There's no way 2 teams from the Big Ten could get in, at least in my opinion. Even if the situation plays out like that, where Michigan loses 1 game, I would have to see what the other teams were, but I'm going to tell you right now, if Michigan loses to Ohio State at the end of the regular season, they are going to be bit in the ass by their non-conference schedule. It's not that Michigan's non-conference schedule is bad. It's that it's so bad to where this is like Baylor during the Art Briles years. That's how bad this is. I mean, and these are all FBS teams. It's almost like it's nearly impossible to have such a bad non-conference schedule with all FBS teams, but Michigan has somehow done it. And I'm not picking on Michigan. You know, UCLA, they had the cancellation. Michigan did cancel their game with UCLA because they wanted 7 home games. But UCLA also has a horrible non-conference. I think they have South Alabama and like Alabama State and Bowl. I mean, they're even worse. UCLA is even worse, and that's going to hurt UCLA if they win 10 games. They're not going to a New Year's Six Bowl with 10 wins in that non-conference schedule. But Dan Mullen comes out and says that 2 SEC and 2 Big Ten teams are going to make it. That is funny. This is a really good graphic if you guys are ever interested in just how the overall AP Top 25 works. Of course, it was released yesterday, and this is every single voter, or not every voter, like looking at the teams who got voted where. And if you guys look at that little blue quadrant, it says unique. And that is the really good part of this graphic, because you can see kind of the crazy outliers. For example, somebody voted Ohio State 5th. I don't know how Ohio State gets voted 5th after beating Notre Dame. That just seems almost indescribable. Like, that's a situation where you would have to, like, take their vote away or something. No, I mean, people can vote wherever they want. Like, Michigan received a 3rd place vote. Baylor received a 5th place vote. Miami received a 4th. I like Miami, but not that much. Miami received a 4th place vote. Things like that, just looking at it. And then how about Penn State, who's not even ranked at this point? They got a 7th place vote. I like Penn State. I think Penn State's a top 20 team, or maybe top 25 team. They got a 7th place vote. So this was found on Reddit. It's a very good graph to kind of see where the outliers are. They do it a couple different ways, where they'll show like a major board of how all the AP voters kind of voted, but it's just tough to see because there's so many teams scrunched on one page that they do a better job of it there. Is it just me, or does ESPN broadcasts get worse every year? And this was horrific. I don't know if you guys saw Saturday night, the Notre Dame-Ohio State game. I don't know if it was because it was week 1, there was a technology problem. They did not have the yellow first down marker working. I'd have to go back and check, but I believe for basically all of the second half, or at least all of the second quarter and most of the second half, the yellow first down, so if it's 2nd and 7, you know, there's supposed to be the yellow first down, and then the line of scrimmage, there's supposed to be straight lines. They didn't have either one of them working. And you're talking about 10 million people watching this on ABC. That is a disgusting, disgusting look. Also, they had a few plays where they had some sort of malfunction with the overall aerial camera that shows each play. So they had to kind of cut from it. And during one play, they literally just showed a Notre Dame coach react to the play while the play was going on, because the camera, got cut off, or there was a technical problem. So I think it's probably just due to week 1 technical issues. But you're a company that's $1 billion, you're paying for these TV deals. You cannot have problems. The excuse cannot be it's week 1. All of this stuff needs to be figured out. It's a top 5 matchup. It's going to be one of the highest rated games of the season. There's only 15 weeks in the college football season. It's not like this is a yearly thing. You got to be ready week 1. So I just think that is completely inexcusable for ABC. Not a good job there. And how about this situation? We've got another diva receiver, Kayshon Boutte. I always thought it was Kayshon Boutte, but apparently the way they were pronouncing it, it's Kayshon Boutte, the former 5-star receiver who had a really good start to the year last year. His sophomore year got injured and has been projected to be a first-round pick. Game 1 looks completely disinterested. I think he ended up with like 0 catches, whatever. Ends up deleting or at least removing. You can put if you delete Instagram pictures, it's not really deleting them. It's just kind of making it to where the public can't see them. And he did that, I'm guessing, because he was pissed, and people were speculating one of two things. Does he now sit out and prepare for the NFL draft, that's the death of college football, is when kids do that. And that's kind of the reason everyone had to accept NIL, because it's like, oh, you've got CJ Stroud, you've got Bryce Young. Why would these kids continue to play college football? They're guaranteed to be top 5 picks. All they're risking is injury. So that's why you have to give these kids NIL money. And Boutte, people were saying he's either going to transfer or maybe he's going to, sit out and declare for the draft. Now, Brian Kelly came out and said he expects Boutte to be back. He's not worried about him, things like that. I'm guessing this is a situation where, you don't want to, with these receivers, some of them can be divas. He wasn't getting the ball. He was pissed. And maybe he talked to his agent or someone and said, listen, if I sit out the rest of the season, will I be a first-round pick? Will it be a bad look? And I'm guessing that's what they're trying to figure out. And I think he'll come back and play because it's just a horrible look. We understand he was projected to be a first-round pick, but this is not a Jamar Chase situation where Jamar Chase has just a ridiculous year with Joe Burrow and then sits out the pandemic year because he knows he's going to be a top 10 pick. This is not that situation. This kid needs another good year to be a first-round pick. Or at least like a top 15, top 20 pick. So I think he will be back with LSU and at least play some games. Just another situation, modern day. It is what it is. These kids get angry. They want the ball. They get pissed. And then he deletes all of his LSU stuff. This is the most 5-star recruits in the college football playoff era. So since 2014, and you take a look at the gap between Alabama and even the 5th place team, Alabama literally has double the amount of, or nearly double the amount of Clemson, and over double the amount of LSU and A&M. So that, honestly, the way the talent looks, it's not that 5 stars are the perfect end-all be-all, but this is a very accurate description of how each of these rosters is built in terms of their overall talent. You have Alabama, who I agree is definitely the most talented roster. I would say there's not that big of a separation between Georgia and Ohio State, but in terms of overall talent, I would have to agree. If you look at recruiting, Georgia is more talented than Ohio State, and then I would say, Ohio State is clearly more talented than Clemson. Clemson is more talented than LSU. A&M is kind of a unique situation where they cheat and they get 8 5-stars and they're trying to build something. We get that. And then you can see, how about FSU with 11? Pretty much all of those guys were kids from like 2015, 2016, 2017, things like that. And then there is Texas with 9. This is week 2 AP Top 25 by conference. So when I saw this, I was like, there's no way. The SEC, it's a great conference. 8 teams is just too many. Looking at this, I would say Tennessee should not be ranked above Penn State. Ole Miss, I don't know, I think Ole Miss can be good, but that week 1 performance was so bad, I would drop them off. I mean, Jackson Dart looked horrible. And then looking at some of these other teams with the Big Ten, I certainly think more than 4. Maybe a team like Minnesota slides in there, and then certainly Penn State. Originally, people thought Iowa, but I just think the offense is so bad, it's tough to rank Iowa at this point. ACC with 5 teams. Pittsburgh, to me, is looking a bit... I don't want to hate on Pittsburgh because they got a big win, right? They got their Thursday night win, maybe a little fluky, the pick six, whatever. But I won't hate on them right now, but I do think they're not going to finish ranked. NC State, what a horrible performance. And then Wake Forest, who gets Sam Hartman back. Congratulations to them. Iowa's starting QB had a 1.1 QBR in a win where he played the entire game. That has to be some sort of record. So Iowa's offense, man, what are they going to do? It is amazing. And then we've got Pat McAfee joining ESPN's College GameDay full-time. So this will be very interesting. I'm wondering if they're finally ready to pull the plug on Lee Corso. You know, you watched Lee Corso week 1. At this point, it's getting to the point where he can't form complete sentences, which makes it really awkward when people are trying to have conversations with him. We all love Lee Corso. We all love routines. Everyone loves waking up Saturday morning and seeing him, but it gets to a point where it's like you got to rip the Band-Aid off. Okay, at some point, it's time to say, listen, we can't keep doing this. You can have him on for one segment of show, but to have him on the desk full time, it's just, you know, kind of insulting viewers' intelligence, and it's just making for an awkward situation as a whole. Will Pat McAfee replace him? Is that his job? Is he going to be on the desk? I don't know. I just saw this, and it kind of piqued my interest. Normally, something like this, I know Pat McAfee has that show he does every day. You would think it would just be kind of like a one-segment type thing, but it says full-time. So I wonder if he'll be on the desk. It'll be interesting to see what happens with ESPN College GameDay. But guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you're following me on Twitter. Link to that's always going to be in the description. I'm, of course, the Depressed Ginger. Thank you for watching.